So then he says, our enemies have ambushed us, and we are contending with their convoluted, diabolical, and vile schemes. And if you just study a little bit of history, you'll know this. I was actually translating a book, and I was amazed, like it was stranger than fiction. And the author of the book used to live in, it was either Zanzibar or the Comoro Islands. But the author of the book, who was originally from Hadramaut, originally from Yemen, but he had moved to those places to teach people Islam, and he opened schools and so forth. But there were these revolutions, and they would overthrow the king, and they would have these very violent revolutions. And then part of the aftermath of that is that they made people who were not native to the country, they had to leave, particularly religious scholars. So he had to move around. So I was looking at Wikipedia, looking on Wikipedia at the names of some of the revolutions, because I was translating the book from Arabic to English and his biography from Arabic to English. So some of the names of the revolutions I didn't know. One of the revolutions was a general who worked for the president, who hired this French or Swedish militia guy, like just basically a gun for hire. So he hired him to kill the president, and then the general would take over. Then that general's general hired the same guy to kill the next guy, and it was just like the weirdest story where this guy like killed 3 of his own bosses, you know, overthrowing one, and all of these presidents, and they're all Muslim. You know, and it was just like, how could you betray someone so violently and viciously? And literally these revolutions are these people being killed in their own homes and so forth, and then the repercussions, you know, everyone feels them across society. And then what happens is, you know, these scholars have to leave. But this is just one example among hundreds, if not thousands, of these diabolical schemes of people trying to make us fight against each other. The Prophet ﷺ, he said that this would be the primary objective of the devil, the primary goal of the devil. Dr. Adi was talking about how the Prophet ﷺ said, I do not fear that you will fall into polytheism and shirk after me. And in another narration, the Prophet ﷺ said that the devil has completely lost any hope of being worshipped in the Arabian Peninsula, in the sacred lands of Mecca and Medina and beyond. He's lost hope that people are going to worship him there. He said, وَلَكِنَّ التَّحْرِيشَ بَيْنَكُمْ. But what he's going to focus all of his energies on is creating dissension among you and enmity and discord. When 2 people get into an argument and a fight, and he's able to create a wedge between their hearts, the Shaytan is overjoyed. He's overjoyed. And it's at every level. One of the narrations states that at the end of the day, the devils come to, the higher up devil. And they say, this is what I've done today. This is what I've done today. I made this person steal. I made this person kill. I made this person do this and that and the other. He says, okay, good job, good job. Then if someone comes and says, I made a husband and wife fight against each other, he says, you come here, sit right next to me. Because that's supposed to be a relationship of love, of mawadda and rahmah. It's supposed to be, it's meant to be, and we have to work at it. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it. It's supposed to be a relationship of sakina, of serenity, like at the deepest levels. So when the shaitan is able to disrupt that, he's extra happy. And then you can apply that at the level of family, at the level of community, at the level of the ummah. So these are things that we need to restore: love, unity, cooperation, and so forth.